2016, you said to voters in front of that bus, there would be control of immigration and you would talk to industry about what they need. How's that going?
Well, that's exactly what we're doing.
But you're not listening.
Well, we are. We're certainly listening and helping. And look, Gary, I've always been somebody who champions immigration. I'm a product of immigration myself. I think that it's a good thing for the country to be open to high skilled people who want to come and do.
But we have a crisis
do a great
at
job.
the moment and a shortage.
Those are your words, okay?
We certainly have labour shortages. I think you'd have to sign up to those words.
Okay, and what I would say is that is a function of the UK economy and the global economy coming back rapidly from the COVID lockdowns and sucking in demand of all kinds. And that, yes, is indeed producing stresses and strains.
But we knew about this. We knew this was coming.
And what what we're doing is talking to business, as you say, about their issues. But ultimately, we've got fantastic supply chains, fantastic logistics operations in this country.
Let's get to
talk to people like, listen to people like Morrison's. I've got every confidence
business
that we will sort this out
at length to the government at length, sending in letters in the summer. You know about all these contacts. You've probably heard about them now. Nothing happened. They told you there was a crisis coming down the tracks towards you on labour shortages in all sorts of sectors.
So
what did you do?
What you've got is a situation in which there's certainly demand for all sorts of sectors to bring in mass immigration again. And actually, I don't think that is the right approach. So we certainly offered some...
This is controlled immigration. This is what you talked about in 2016. That's what they're asking for. It's controlled immigration.
It's what we're doing.
To help out with certain issues.
It's what we're doing. And I totally
You're not doing anything like...
Of course we are.
There are 1,000th of the number of haulage visas that seem to have been approved at the moment, or compared to how many they think they need.
Well, actually, the reality is that we've approved at least 5,000 people to come in. They haven't been able to produce more than about 127 people that they actually want to come, or whose names they can identify. And that is a function of the shortage in the overall profession around the world, particularly acute particularly acute in the UK. And that is caused by persistent low pay and chronic underinvestment in plant equipment, in automation, and in basic facilities that make these jobs attractive. So road haulage is a classic example, which you've mentioned a few times. But the problem with road haulage is that when it comes to the life of a trucker, it's not what it could be.
And you've talked about that
in terms of pay, in terms of the facilities.
But your suggestion now is that their pay should go up.
And what needs to happen? What needs to happen is investment in skills, investment in people.
We've all heard what you said. You said pay should go up, and pay is going to go up, is what you said, because that's going to be the way the market works in haulage.
Yeah, because if you look at because what I said in 2016.
Can I just finish this question?
Can I tell you what else I said in 2016 in front of that bus? Because you went straight to that point. And this was the moment when I remember the other side of the argument started to panic because they knew I was right. What I pointed out was that pay for the majority of people had been flat, frozen, and was not going up at all, whereas pay for those in the executive groups, the high pay groups, were seeing big increases, and nobody else was. And that was because of the model that we have in this country. And what I'm saying to you is that model has got to be behind us now.
It was 2016, that referendum. Where's your plan? You said there'll be a big adjustment. Where's your plan? We are facing all sorts of shortages at the moment. You know about the pig farmers up here. We could name any number of sectors, hospitality amongst them, all sorts of sectors.
There is no alternative.
Where's the plan?
The plan, the super deduction, for investment in plant and capital, the lifetime skills guarantee to help people train up.
We're talking about shortages now in all sorts of sectors.
The massive investments in
You didn't make a plan, did you?
Of course we did.
They've been telling you about these shortages coming down the track. You say it was a big adjustment. It was always in your mind about Brexit. The economy was going to adjust. But you haven't got a plan. You haven't done anything about it, which is why we've got these problems in front of us.
What is necessary now is for the whole economy to realise, for everybody, all business, all of industry, to realise that we can't go back to a broken model in which we mainline...
You haven't built the new one.
Which we mainline low-wage immigration. Fantastic hard-working people came very largely from, but not exclusively by any means, from European Union accession countries. And that was terrific, but it led to certain consequences. We've got chronic low productivity, Gary, in this country.
You talk to anyone in business and they say the solution of turning around and giving someone more pay when you haven't sorted out productivity creates inflation and all sorts of other problems. They can't believe you're uttering those things as a Conservative Prime Minister.
There is no alternative. We have to see, in a famous phrase,
pay goes up without productivity.
There has to be more investment in people, and there has to be more investment in capital and plant and in productivity, and that's why we've put in all the measures that we have. And by the way, if you talk about long-term cost of living and the burden on people and the stresses and strains ahead, that's why we put in a massive plan, the biggest ever, or biggest for the last 100 years, to invest in our infrastructure, to make sure that we invest in our. So look at the package of people's costs every week. What are people? They're spending on housing, they're spending on energy, they're spending on transport, they're spending on childcare. Those are and food. Those are in rough order. Those are the things that people are spending their money on. Now we can abate all those costs if we invest now in the things that will make a big difference. Housing, it is disgraceful, the proportion of people's budgets now go on housing.
Yes, and that's
because of chronic failure. Because of chronic failure to fix the housing market.
Fire hydrant of words coming up with that. These are long-term solutions which you are putting out there to a short-term problem. What have you done to address the short-term problem? You could do both in parallel. You could say to the company, to the
but that's exactly what we're doing. Gary, that's exactly what we're doing.
To the businesses that are saying we want extra people in to help with this year's crisis, you could say yes, we'll do that. That's controlled migration. You're not saying that.
We are saying that.
No, you're not allowing anything like the numbers they say. And can I just say that there is a very strong suspicion that the reason you're doing that is because you're trying to weaponise this whole issue over visas and the idea of immigration coming back in the numbers that it used to. You spotted Keir Starmer talking about 100,000 visas, and suddenly you spotted a political opportunity to weaponise the whole thing. An awful lot of people think that's what's going on.
Then they must be listening to people who are talking complete nonsense, because it's not true. People of this country voted for change. They voted for change in 2016, as you rightly say. And they voted for change again in 2019. They're fed up with a model of the economy where we hold wages down, where we don't invest in skills, where we don't see progression in people's employment in the way they deserve. And this is a government that actually understands that and is trying to fix the economic model of this country to make us more productive and to take us to a high-wage, high-skill, high-productivity economy. And it's high time we did that, because, as you know, we're currently being left behind by most of our competitors when it comes to productivity. France, Germany, the United States, certainly, a long way, even Italy, were 10-20% off the pace. And that is caused by some of the chronic problems that I mentioned, to do with housing, the cost of living that we can now abate, and the difficulties that we have in our system. But it's also caused by failures to invest in skills and in equipment, and that's what we're fixing.